Bienvenue. Les aventures de Frank et Ben. Quatrième série. Frank and Ben go to a pool party at Genevieve's place. Dixième histoire. Frank and Ben go to a pool party, part 10. Frank and Ben take an immediate liking to Big Bob, who, standing 6'3" and weighing 250 pounds, looks a lot more impressive standing before them than he did when he was lazing in the jacuzzi. "Punch that stomach," he says to Frank. "Take the hardest swing you can." When Frank refuses to hit him in the stomach, he asks Genevieve to do it. She reminds him of what happened the last time she hit him, but when he keeps on insisting, she finally says, "All right, you asked for it." But just as she winds up to hit him, the boys catch sight of a sparrow that is flying around in the solarium. "That's no big deal," Bob comments. "It happens all the time." In almost the same instant, he signals to Genevieve to go ahead with hitting him in the stomach. But because this is the first time she has witnessed a bird get caught in the solarium, despite what Bob has just said, she tries to dissuade him from going on until, with all his wild gestures that he's careful to make behind the boys' backs so they don't catch wind of his joke, she finally grows exasperated and even angry. Then it happens that just as Frank and Ben get tired of trying to decide whether the bird fluttering about and desperately hitting against the glass is a Malibu, a Fleetwood, or a Viscount sparrow, all they're debating on this point being the result of Ben's uncle, an avid ornithologist, having recently told them about these 3 species of sparrow and how to distinguish them, and finally turn back towards their secretly gesturing and emotionally worked up companions, Genevieve decides to put an end to Bob's antics by giving him a good swift punch in the stomach. Immediately he coughs, sputters, and sinks to his knees. After catching his breath with difficulty and looking up sorrowfully at Frank and Ben, he finally gets back to his feet. He then asks the boys, "Have you seen that statue of the woman in the solarium?" Both boys nod. Then, still painfully holding his stomach, he asks, "And have you seen the gym in the basement where she works out?" They both nod again. "Put 2 and 2 together, boys. You're not stupid. That's where the world is going." A short time later, Bob leads Frank and Ben over to the pool where Minot and Greg Donahue are sitting. "Frank and Ben, how wonderful to have you here," Minot exclaims, jumping up from her lounge chair and hugging both boys. "It's wonderful to be here," says Frank. "This is the most amazing house and home I've ever seen in my life." "Frank and Ben," says Minot, "I'd like you to meet a man who's capable of designing such homes and will no doubt do greater things in the future." The boys then shake hands with Greg Donahue, who, as they soon find out, is an architectural student already winning acclaim for some of his conceptions. "This guy has an incredible mind," Bob exclaims. "You should see some of his drawings. Entire cities built underground, castles constructed in the air without foundations, geodesic domes that can shelter whole communities from pollution and even nuclear attack." Modestly downplaying his accomplishments, Greg Donahue calls them mere flights of the imagination. "Oh ho," shouts Bob. You call building homes and trees a mere flight of the imagination? It sounds pretty reasonable to me. They discuss these matters and others while Genevieve is busy in the house attending to some issue. Linda came out to the back earlier and told Genevieve that Toby, the Doberman pincer, had thrown up on the rug and then started barking and growling for some reason. When she finally gets back to her guests, she is very pleased to see that Frank and Ben are fitting in well. She is even more pleased to see that the boys are capable of showing a great deal of maturity. Not once do they react when Greg Donahue periodically whoops, whistles, or chirps on account of his strange affliction.